Hey folks, in this small hangout, I'll just be addressing some of the comments that atheists make. Now, remember, I won't be typing out comments in the future, okay, as I let you know. I hope you understand that, as I have explained that in earlier hangouts, to the reasons why I can't do that. But anyways, this is on the video. I'll show you the video. How can atheist and agnostic justify even a single knowledge claim? I'm going to scroll back down over here to the last comment that was made by the Bastias. In fact, I was actually responding to James, and then Bastias also latched onto him. Now, how many people does he expect me that I'm able to reply? I'm one human being, man. Try to understand this. He starts off by saying in this comment, when I said that I'm not going to reply anymore in the text, I'm going to do it in a hangout, and he's free to come there and join and reply to me. But anyways, he says, you clearly must be afraid of losing control in discussion, right? Okay, it already starts with the ad hom. He also ad hom me previously. Okay, I can find that later on. I'm not going to go into that, but maybe he ad hom me already. So I think when somebody ad hom starts with the ad hom, see, I was very patient. I didn't ad hom, although to me many atheists are scumbags, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But now he is kind of, it seems like that the scumbagish behavior has started already. But be that as it may, I'm still going to reply to it. Here you can see that already, the second ad hom, so I'm just going to ignore that garbage. Anyways, now he says, by the way, how do you get from you could be wrong about everything you claim to know to thus you don't know anything? Well, first of all, it seems like he's familiar with the argument. I didn't mention the second part yet. I just first asked him the question, could he be wrong about everything he claims to know? But he is assuming that I would say that he would, I would expect him to say, yes, I could be wrong about everything, and then that I would say, well, then you don't know anything, which is true, and I'll explain why. He somehow seems to say that that doesn't follow, or seems to imply that that doesn't follow, but that actually does follow, because guess what? Knowledge means justified true belief. Justified true belief. So it's got to be both justified and true. Okay, so even if he gives all the reasons he has at any given moment of something for his belief, for any of his claims, but it turns out that it's not true, then it wasn't knowledge to begin with. Okay, you cannot, for example, you can't know that at this moment George W. Bush is the president of the United States. You can't be knowing that because it's not true. Now, even if you have justifiable reason, if you live in a kind of a parallel universe, okay, or in a parallel world where you don't have enough information about the United States, and you say, well, you have justified reason to believe that at the moment Bush is the president, George W. Bush Jr. is the president right now, that wouldn't be knowledge. You see, the same way, if it's not justified but just true, for example, if you just make a guess and it happens to be true, but you don't have any justified reasons, then again it doesn't happen to be knowledge. Now what he says here is, in other words, how do you draw the connection from probability to certainty? I think I explained that in the other video. I did make a video, that probability, where I showed the video I think is called is it absolutely true that God's existence is unlikely? There I discussed the probability issue, because even with probability you got to be certain of that probability itself. So if you're gonna say, for example, he probably wants to say, well, I am on things I am certain with probability, meaning I'm 99% certain. But like I said, I'm gonna just ask him, okay, why 99%? Why not 89? Why not 79? So he has to be absolutely certain of that 99% then. Okay? Otherwise, I'm going to ask, could you be wrong? I'm going to ask you this again, the Bastias. If you say I'm 80% certain, okay, of something, or you say I'm at best certain of the thing that I'm best certain of, I'm 99% certain. I'm going to ask you again, how do you know that? Could you be wrong about that 99%? What are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me, no, I can't be wrong about that, because that would mean that you're absolutely certain that it's 99%. I mean, how does this guy not get this? How many times do I have to repeat myself? Now let's carry on over here. Hey, Brother Faithful, can you still hear me, by the way? Because last time, it cut off, and then I noticed that I was just, just let me know if you can hear me. Is my voice coming through
Yeah, I
clearly?
can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to continue. Now he says, just replace your God with nature. Okay, I challenged him. I said, okay, you show me what else could be, what requires, what has the necessary elements for, or to be the precondition for knowledge. I think I asked him that here, and then let's see, and then I think he's responding and saying that you just replace God with nature. Okay, let's see how this works now. Then you see a proper foundation for knowledge. Okay, let's see how. You have to presuppose nature in order to know anything for certain. If you don't presuppose nature, okay, let's analyze. So he claims nature, and I think what he means is nature is enough. If you presuppose nature, according to him, then you have enough to justify knowledge. Well, I would say no, you don't. Because nature, unless he wants to say that an attribute of nature is personality. Does nature have personality? Can nature reveal things to you? You see, if nature, let's read on first what he says. If you don't presuppose nature exists independently of your own mind, then you can't know anything to be true for certain by discovering. See, nature is just static. It doesn't reveal anything. Unless you want to define nature as including to have a mind. You must have a mind. If you say nature is that mind, okay, that's fine. Then we have one attribute. But I think he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to say that nature is conscious. Without consciousness, buddy, you can't justify any knowledge claims. That's a basic. Okay, let's carry on here. By discovering nature, we can see that nature can reveal knowledge to us. No, it can't. Nature doesn't speak. Nature doesn't have consciousness. See, this is the thing where he's trying to use symbolic kind of new age stuff. Oh, nature reveals. Nature don't reveal anything. Okay? Nature doesn't do any revealing. Nature isn't conscious. Okay? Unless you want to define nature as having a mind. Then we can talk about that further. Okay? Reveal knowledge to us in such a way that can be certain. If nature hides, doesn't reveal its knowledge, then we can't know anything. No, nature neither hides nor reveals anything. Okay? Whatever exists has been created by God, and God is the one, meaning a mind, who is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. These are the essential attributes that are required, for then he would know all things and can reveal about what he has created to you in a way that you can know for certain. And then nature can't shut itself off. Even if nature had a subconsciousness or a category of consciousness and wanted to, shut itself off, God would trump nature and would force the information away from nature and pass it on to you. So there's no problem there. But with nature, you can't. With nature alone, you don't have the necessary foundation for knowledge to begin with. Now he says you have to be nature or have the knowledge of nature be revealed to you in order to know anything for certain. The second part is correct, and that's what I said. Who is going to reveal it to you? Who is the question? Okay. Then he ends by saying, by admitting that you can know things for certain, you admit that nature exists. No, the thing is, we can talk about how you define nature or not. Nature I define as what God has created, ultimately ex nihilo, from his own mind. He speaks things into existence. Okay. But he making this claim, he can't even make this claim from his worldview. See, that's the irony of it all. Because he again is making a knowledge claim here by admitting, in other words, he can't make any claim about me from his worldview. That's the problem. He can't say, for example, atheists love to say when I say that I know things for certain because God has revealed them to me in a way that I can know it for certain. Okay. Now the atheist can't challenge that because the atheist wants to say, oh, you tell me that you just justify your reasoning using your reasoning. Well, you do the same thing. No, but based on your worldview, you can't, because guess what? Based on your worldview, let's just say for sake of argument that if God exists, you couldn't know whether I know God or not. And you have to admit that if I did know God, then he could reveal things to me that I can know him from certain. And since you can't even know that based on your worldview, you have no argument against me. Now, I hope I'm making this very clear to you. I'm spending very much time here on this guy, actually, because this point is so important. It's so important for the atheist to get this. Now, let's see what he says in the second comment over here. I'll address this to another. Okay, that's me. I told him again that I'm not going to type anymore. Translation, you don't like his... Anyways, let him do what he wants. See, I don't shy away from any of this stuff. Okay, I'm just tired of typing. That's all. So I've been pretty honest, and I've been pretty gracious to the guy. I mean, it's my channel, it's my home. I could simply delete this and be done with him. But no, I want to make this so that other atheists see the folly of his argumentation, and Christians, of course, as well. My brothers and sisters in Christ who like to use evidentiary arguments should first and foremost always address the presuppositions of the atheist worldview. You always need to start that way. Anyways, let's continue here. He says, you don't like that people don't follow your precept script, so you choose to stick to Hangouts to have a better control over people you discuss with. If you come in my Hangout, you'll have... I can even time it. I'll give you 20 seconds more than me each round. How's that sound? So don't give me this BS, man. See, this is the problem with these atheists. They try to discredit. Now it's already coming out. I hope you guys can see it. Now it's already coming out what he really means to do. But anyways, he's still going to be exposed, nonetheless. Okay, now he says he doesn't do anything. Well, too bad. Then I can't do anything, except, of course, I can provide him the link to the response, which, of course, I'm going to do at the end of this Hangout. I'm going to provide the link so he can watch it if he wants to. Now, how do you, as a precept, account for the human speciality of God belief, a certain way of thinking? I mean, isn't it people like you that always wonder about special human behaviors that allegedly dramatically differ from any other living being on earth, from which you then conclude that we must be created due to being so special? Yeah, that's a different story altogether. Here we are not talking about evidence even. Okay, that'll be evidence, which of course I would agree with, that the evidence must point in the direction of God too. I mean, that is obvious. It has to be. It would be absurd if it's otherwise. And that's why we have people like Brother Nephilim Free, for example, who clearly shows that all the evidence actually that the scientific community uses in favor of evolution is bogus, and actually shows the opposite. It actually happens to be in favor of creation, but they twist it in such a way and use one ad hoc after the other to try to justify and maintain evolution, the earth being billions of years old, and so on and so forth. We can talk about all of that too. Okay, I have no problem with that. That would be specifically Brother Nephilim Free's specialty, but I do talk about that from time to time. Okay. Don't you realize that God belief is such a special human behavior or way of thinking as well that isn't perceived in any other species? Well, we are made in the image of God, according to the scriptures, not the animals. So that's obvious, man. That's a basic thing in Christianity. Every Christian knows this. We are the worshipping, and I won't even say species, kind. Because we are the ones created in the image of God. Okay, to communicate with Him. So God reveals things to us because we are made in the image. The animals haven't been given such a capability. So it's really that simple. Man, unbelievable. Okay, let's respond to this guy as well here. I think he made a comment too. Okay. Let me slow this down over here. Oh, I already responded. Let me see, just to make sure again that I didn't miss what he said. Okay, he said, I pre-assume that knowledge justifies itself. There, I have defined knowledge into justification. Okay, so what his claim basically is that he can just as well, without presupposing God, he can just say, he can just presuppose or pre-assume that knowledge justifies itself, which is a totally bogus claim because he's appealing to the same plane. That's number one. Okay, so it's a vicious circle. But the problem with that is, why then does he argue You see, the problem is also atheists argue against God's existence. I could say the same. I could say I presume that God exists. So why will he then argue against it? I'll tell you why. He, James, and other atheists will say because God is extra. God is not basic. But I say no. God is not extra, not basic, and I've even explained that. You see, as to why. God is basic. But the atheist will insist, and not just insist, but heavily say, as if it is the truth, no, it is extra. And then I'm going to hold him to it. I'm going to say, okay, how? How do you know that? See, he is the arrogant one. See, this is what the atheists try. They try to say, no, he is the arrogant one. The atheists are the arrogant scumbags in this case. Because they are the ones who are insisting, we know that God is extra. Well, how do you know that God is extra? Why isn't logic extra? Why is that basic, but not God? You see? This is the thing. So this is not a way to argue at all. Anything that is defined has to have a justification. And I've explained why we have that justification when we presuppose God. And just to remind you folks, I'm not saying that atheists don't presuppose God. Okay? In case somebody misunderstands and says, oh, Johnny, you have a special knowledge from God that others don't have. No. I'm saying atheists and all non-Christians have this knowledge from God. God has made manifest that he exists to everybody. He has shown that to everybody. And that's why the atheists, they understand that there are regularities in nature, that they presuppose that they exist. They don't go out, you can't prove that. The laws of logic, they can't prove the laws of logic because in the process of doing so, they'd be using the same. No. So they know intrinsically that there are certain things that they are that the laws of like the laws of logic and even morality, mind you, the moral precepts. That's why an atheist, doesn't matter how much otherwise he a scumbag he is, if you steal from him, if you do something to his family members, he will immediately jump on you. He will judge you. Okay? He won't just say, well, I don't just feel good when you do that. No atheist is going to talk. He's going to say, you're wrong for having done this. Well, scumbag, listen. Why do you say I'm wrong? Why don't you be honest and say, it's my preference? Why don't you just say might is right, like the scumbag Stalin and the consistent atheist like Freud? And even Stephen Hawking said that reality itself is subjective. Yes, based on atheism, you have to say reality is subjective. And I can show you where he did that. Be honest. Don't be a scumbag. That's what I'm telling you. But atheists can't be honest. And the irony of it all is that they have the audacity to say that Christians are the ones who are dishonest. We are the ones who are honest. You can't be honest unless you start with God. Get that, you thickheads. And with that being said, I think I've responded to all these comments. So I'm done with the hangout here. Anyways, I get very passionate about these things. Before I close the hangout, I'm going to say this. But if somebody acts like a scumbag, I'm going to be, I'm going to be like that with you. I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't take crap from nobody. You see? I start off very gentle with people, as you've noticed. It's always my style. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I start very kindly, very gently. But if you, in the process, start to become a scumbag, man, I'm going to slam you to the floor like you haven't seen before. Remember that next time.